Stream still. Sometimes it live streams a little bit earlier than I think, but usually it waits until there we go. It's probably live streaming. Ladies and gerbils, welcome to the show. Thank you very much for joining us. D, tell people who is allowed to be here.
What's going on, everybody? The show is for educational and entertainment purposes only. You have to be 21 and over here to be here. If not, you have to get the flying flock out. Back to you, Freemadoro.
That's the way of it. We'll see how many folks stop by here today. It's been kind of on my mind for a while now. That's when these shows really don't get much traction. So we're going to hope that this one does. We're going to hope that a couple cool guests hop on here so we can actually have a decent discussion and hopefully some decent people in the chat. If not, it might just be one of those things that's over and we'll see how it goes. Kind of puzzling because there's plenty of just fart in a circle YouTube shows and Twitch channels and everything else. So I don't understand why this channel doesn't do well, but hey, whatever. Maybe it's my fault. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Thanks very much for joining us. If you didn't know what the show was. I hope it's not the last show. It's a virtual cannabis pub, virtual cannabis cafe, basically for you to stop by, check your condition. Basically, I used to say that all the time. I don't know why I fucking said it all the time anyway. But I don't know, smoke a joint, smoke a bowl, have a dab, whatever your preference is, perhaps an edible or even just a cup of coffee. You're welcome to join us. I've got a stray fucking mustache hair that's annoying me. It's like sticking out. I can see it. I'm like, the fuck? It's annoying. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, nobody in the chat, so that is a bad sign indeed. Maybe this show will not take off today. Well, we'll see. We'll give it a few more minutes. Um, I think I'm going to roll up a joint in the meantime. We'll roll up a hopeful joint, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we'll do. We'll roll up a hopeful joint. Hopefully the show takes off. If not, at least we'll be high. So ladies and gentlemen, like I said, the show it was supposed to be, well, this show is a little bit different, but my channels were supposed to be places where you could pop in off the street. Essentially, I was always as inclusive as I could possibly be. Cheers, Jones and 2 Grow, first in the chat. I was trying to be as inclusive as possible to allow anybody that didn't have a voice of their own, didn't have, it's not like you don't have your voice of your own, but didn't have a place to chit chat, didn't have a place to gather with friends, didn't have a place to exchange information. I thought it would be a great place on my channel, basically. My channels were, it's not strictly true because I technically had my channel way back when. It's completely unrelated to weed. But in more recent years, what am I trying to say? I'm trying to get this button. It's not cooperating with me. Okay, I could just take the other one out first, like a normal person. There we go. And then the other one would be easier to take out. There we go, Fumidor. There's working with our fucking brains. This is this is Sugar Jack from North Star. Uh, I realized as soon as I said it, like one of the previous shows, I was like, oh no, not as soon as I said it, but like after the show, I was like, fuck, it's not Sugar Tits. It's not the same thing as Sugar Tits because Sugar Tits was Ghost OG to Space Queen, right? Because it was two testers that subset me. It was the Cuvée F2 and the now I can't swear to that. No, I think it is. I think it was basically Ghost OG to Space Queen, not Jack the Ripper, which I actually would have preferred. I remember talking to, was it Charlie's Farm? It couldn't have been Charlie's Farm. Anyway, I was talking to somebody, one of our, longtime friends in the community or something. He's like, oh man, I really miss the Jack the Ripper crosses that Sub sent me. I hope he sends me some more. And then he sent me the Space Queen crosses, which turned out to be really good. But of course, I was hoping for those Jack the Ripper crosses. Uh, so anyway, this is, I guess, a version of that. I wonder if it's the same Ghost OG just to a Jack the Ripper instead of a Space Dude, I guess it would be, honestly, not Space Queen. But anyway, if North Star doesn't hop on, I guess we'll never know. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are only person in the chat so far is Jones, well, good to see you, Jones. Always a pleasure. If you are new to the chat for some reason, please welcome, say hello. We would love to hear from you, even if it's as little as just a hello. But we'd love to hear about your garden and what you're growing, what you're planning for the year. Plenty of down underers, I guess you could say, are probably harvesting right about now. Honestly, it's probably not now, pretty close to harvest season. What do they fucking harvest? Now I don't remember anymore, honestly, in like Australia and stuff. Anyway, no, this is about right. Oh, it's probably about like a month from now. D, you're muted right now. Still muted.
Oh, it's
There you
okay.
go.
Sorry, I was saying to Mrs.
Oh,
D.
gotcha. Gotcha.
Hello,
Well, since we're at it, might as well say hello. What's going on, D?
hello. What's going on, everybody? What's going on, chat? Jones and like Phoebe said first in the chat. Hope everyone's having a great afternoon. I am just hanging out. I have Oreo mints to smoke. Um, yeah. Um, I guess that's it. Not much to say. Didn't do too much today. Posted a lot of scam bait. I got a lot of scam baiting messages from people on my scam baiting numbers, so I posted them for everybody to give them a hard time with later now. So I got like 6 today and like 4 or 5 yesterday, so it's crazy. Anyways, I hope everyone's having a great afternoon. I almost said night. Cheers to all you 9 people watching in the chat, all you lurkers and chatters out there. Cheers.
I just realized if I want a pure experience with this sugar jack, I probably shouldn't. I was just kind of scraping the hash that accumulates in my grinder, and I was like, oh, I probably shouldn't use this because then it'll be a different high. So I'll save that for the next joint. Well, we'll give it a little bit longer, ladies and gentlemen. Sometimes these shows take off, but we'll see how it goes. Definitely thinking that these, at least my live stream shows, might be dead or defunct. I don't know. We'll see. All it takes is literally any other show to hop onto YouTube, and then there's only 3 people watching this show. So obviously, at this point, this is the show of, I don't even know, least important showers. I don't even know. So, like, long story short, maybe I just do other things. We'll see how it goes. We'll see here. This is going to be a small but tasty joint. Probably only, eh, honestly, maybe not even a half a gram.
Cheers there, Nathan Chambers.
What's
Second
good,
in
buddy?
the chat.
Long time no see, man.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about him the other day. Yeah, I don't know. Nobody really hopping on. We'll give it a couple more minutes, but I guess is this show's gonna go nowhere, so probably the end of this show.
Mm.
Only thing that really seems to do well is basically beginner level content or where there's really not much discussion at all.
Yeah.
Too bad. Like I'm not interested. I'm not interested in that kind of perpetual, have you heard about flushing cannabis? That's just not for me. I don't know. I'd rather not smoke weed than talk about the same shit every single fucking day of my life.
Yeah.
Cheers, love for the plant.
Hey, love to the plant. Oh, that's why. Send code.
20, just barely.
Hang on. Oh, what is your phone number? Is there a security code?
Yeah, don't say it out
Okay.
loud. Here, mute yourself.
No, I know. Yeah, thanks, Streamy. We're having problems. We're trying to. Mrs. D sold something on Marketplace, and we're having trouble e-transferring.
Oh, that's annoying.
Yeah. I hate friggin' e-transfer bullshit.
It's easy to get scammed, as you know, Zelle and all that shit. Yeah, I guess I really made a mistake trying to create a cannabis cafe, pub, whatever kind of concept. It's stupid. It's a fucking waste of time. Holy shit, how many times have I pulled out my hair? This is a dead concept. Hmm. Well, we'll twiddle our thumbs for a few more minutes before we leave. If I had to guess, I would still think that this is similar breeding. So I would say that it's, if I had to guess, I would stay still Ghost OG by Jack the Ripper. It's got kind of piney, not that lemony by any means. A little bit of lemon to it though, but it's more kind of pine, earthy. Um, doesn't really have that. I was kind of joking about it yesterday. I was joking about how everything North Star, oh, it's not right next to me right now. Everything North Star sent me has this kind of NorCal funk to it, basically. The sort of, I don't know, anywhere between dank basement to baby poo kind of thing. But I don't think this one has that. I think this is maybe the exception. He also sent me another one, the Cell, which I think he said was one of his Alcatraz crosses, Alcatraz OG, I think crosses. Anyway, it's quite gassy. That one still has a little bit of that funk to it, but it's a little bit different. It's more like cheesy poop, maybe, or something. I don't know. Just kind of on the back end. It's just very subtle. Hmm. So anyway, to the fucking four people watching, this seems like it's a waste of everyone's time. I don't know. Who else? Is there someone else that is on YouTube right now? Because I was talking to Dee that basically when anybody else is on YouTube, when literally anybody else, it could be your fucking mother, this show only has five people watching. So if it's, no, not really. Mr. Toad's on. So I guess that just means you guys don't want to watch. That's the bottom line. All right. Oh, it looks like Hardcore wants to do his own show. Well, in that case, I guess we'll just fucking bag it.
I'm here. I think I got this thing figured out now. Finally.
Right on.
Yeah. All right. Now, we have to do this now. Give us our money. Right. TD. All right. I just gotta mute you all for one more second.
Mhm. This is a waste of time. We'll give it until the 30 because I think this might actually be the last show. So at least that way we have a 20-minute show. But I think after that we're done. What do I know? I don't know if it's worth doing anything else with weed. It's kind of a shame because I've invested so much of my life in weed, and it's such a big part of my life. But if I ever wanted to do anything on YouTube, I think weed is probably the last thing that I should ever fuck with. It's probably the most toxic community that I've ever encountered in my entire life. Filled with some of the worst people, honestly. I guess those things go hand in hand. One of the most difficult places to possibly get noticed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, like, if I wanted to basically waste my time, this is the place to do it. If I wanted to basically do anything with my life, I almost certainly should just give up fucking weed or keep it as a hobby. Hmm. Well, so it is. It's a discovery we've all had. Gosh, if the commercial breeders were any better than hobby breeders, my fucking God. Guess that was an incomplete thought.
So frustrating.
What's that, D?
Oh, hold on. Well, no, don't. Just hold it up so I can see it. So I don't want to read this out loud. I think I'm further than before. Yeah. One.
That's all right, D. The show's almost over.
Ah, cheers, everybody in the chat. Would you consume? Oh.
I don't know how to answer that question, Nathaniel. I definitely wouldn't consume this show. That's why I'm saying, like, I'm just about done. I'm not interested in just hanging out and smoking weed with a couple of fucking stoners and not talking, because there are already shows that do that. Uh, I'm not a regular viewer of those shows. Those people are perfectly entitled to do those shows. There's no reason why not. Um, the way I look at it is if Kim Kardashian and Kanye and all those fuckers get to do what they want, I don't give a shit what anyone else fucking wants to do either, as long as it doesn't bother me. But that doesn't mean I have to subscribe to them. This show oftentimes in the past was a place of not only camaraderie, but excuse me, also learning. We had a lot of discussions amongst breeders, growers, soil people, you name it. And then a lot of the drama of the interpersonal relationships basically got into the way. And candidly, I didn't nip it in the bud. Unfortunately, it happened a couple, three times, and I did nip it in the bud fast enough. Honestly, I don't know that this is the original sin of the show, but I think it might be. Basically, I didn't nip some of the bad behavior in the bud fast enough because stuff in my own life was going on, and it was just candidly easier to just sort of turn a blind eye, basically. And unfortunately, those became tumors, basically that metastasized a couple, three times, honestly. And boy, it sucked a lot of energy out of the show. It sucked a lot of viewers out of the show. Made it really difficult to have the same kind of discussions that we had had. So we kept re-evolving all these different times, basically because of these kind of um, interpersonal dramas that, again, I probably should have nipped in the bud a lot faster, which I guess to my fucking chagrin, you can learn lessons too late many times in life. I think I've learned my lesson too late in terms of not tolerating any trolls or drama or anything like that. And that's one of the reasons why these days I just say we have a zero tolerance policy. Well, if I'd had a zero tolerance policy 3, 4 years ago, we would have had a very different trajectory with this show. Uh, yeah, it is what it is. I guess you learn your lessons. I don't know. I don't know if this is the ultimate takeaway from it, but that definitely has been one of my takeaways, I guess I can say. So I suppose I get the gist of your question. And I don't know, maybe I'm just trying to capture lightning in a bottle or something. I don't know. Very puzzling. Very, very, very puzzling. Because I do remember vividly how people would keep our shows, my shows, I don't know why I keep saying our show, it's my fucking channel. They would keep my shows on repeat in their car as they would drive around. Like I actually encountered a couple people that were listening to my shows on repeat in Michigan when I went there, which was was equal parts flattering and I don't know, scary or something. You're like, holy shit, people take my word seriously. I don't know that they were so much taking my word seriously, but Coop was a regular on the show and stuff like that. But anyway, long story short, like it was actually a rewarding show. I guess I have no way to show most of you that because all those shows are private now, wouldn't you know it? Because I had to take them all private so that I wasn't permanently banned from YouTube. What does John say? Learn to keep the PPMs under 800 for sensitive herm-prone plants on this show from Fumi. Yeah, man. Yeah, that was a while ago, 2, 3 years ago. Yeah. Not sure if someone who started today would get as much benefit. I don't disagree, Nathaniel Chambers. We oftentimes don't have very good discussions. Three-quarters of
Oh,
the people that hop on the show don't grow anymore, which is something that frustrates me endlessly. And yet we end up still having grow discussions, which is a little bit like what's the expression? Go into a whorehouse and not fucking, something like that, right? It seems a little bit ridiculous, to be honest, to talk about growing when you don't even grow. But hey, people like to talk about what they talk about, I guess. I don't know. Nathaniel Chambers, maybe we should talk offline because I know you've had some interesting ideas over the years. I've definitely thought about taking this show essentially me only, effectively. No disrespect to any of the people that hop on here, especially no disrespect to D, but I've definitely thought about just essentially doing things my way. I've thought about, for example, I want to make, literally just for fun, I want to make chess pieces for myself. You guys don't know anything about that part of my life. So are those parts, I suppose to say, because I never even talk about chess. But I want to make some chess pieces. I thought it'd be kind of fun to do smoke a joint and you guys can watch me make the chess pieces. A little bit like hardcore making the fucking wheels and stuff. Um,
right
Kind of a
on.
waste of time on this show, though, because to be perfectly honest, because when we have to beg for three people to hop on here, I'm like, no, I would be better off starting a new channel, honestly. Anyway, uh, I'm just kind of talking out loud right now at this point. What's the point? Cheers, small tubes. Good to see you, buddy. Who else in here? Christophe. Bonjour, Christophe.
Yeah, man.
Well,
Bonsoir.
again, frustrating because we oftentimes have a loyal audience and nobody to hop on the show. It is what it is. They're busy. Another issue that has cropped up that, oh, now I realize what he was chewing on. My puppy was chewing on a piece of plastic and I was like, where the fuck did you get that? I think it fell off of one of my blinds somewhere, which is kind of annoying because now I probably have a blind that doesn't work. Anyway, I just noticed that. Folks become like regulars on other shows, and I think that I'm actually sure, to be perfectly honest. I guess I won't say I'm sure because I don't have proof of this, but I have seen it so many times that I am effectively convinced. How do you convey that properly? Uh, I'm being facetious a little bit, but I basically am convinced that people consider themselves like part of a gang, basically. And so they're part of I don't know, what are some examples? The Mr. Toad gang or the Eagle gang or the Guerrero gang. So basically, if they're part of one of those gangs, they can't be part of the Fumi gang. I think that's how they really look at it. So anyway, but whatever.
Yeah,
Cheers, Nathaniel. By the way, one of these days, I think I owe you a drink. I don't honestly remember. Whatever. One of these days, we'll have to go get a drink. Maybe I'll puff some Vortex.
nice.
Probably gonna end the show, honestly, because this is just a waste of time. Me just sitting here talking. Dee's busy on the phone anyway. But I guess I'll roll a joint on the way out. This is some Vortex from North Star. Why do I always forget the breeding on Vortex? Jack's Cleaner. No, 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 no.
What? We
I
lose you?
cannot think of it for $1 million. Let me see what the breeding is on this one.
No problem, Christoph.
Vortex.
Yeah, because of the French translator. Nathaniel says, hit me off.
Oh, fucking Apollo 13 by Space Queen. Holy cannoli moly. How did I
Nice.
get that so wrong? I was thinking it was I was thinking it was Jack's cleaner on the dad's side, but I couldn't think of who the mom was. I mean, that makes a lot more sense. Apollo 13, the Space Queen. Funny. Huh. And the Space Queen is famously Romulan to C-99. Not the same Romulan as Romulan genetics, though, which is always confusing. Bud might stop by for a couple minutes before we bounce. I'll roll this joint, might as well.
All right. I was just typing in the chat. I might be in
Oh,
the
cheers.
wrong waiting room.
No. Cheers, bud.
Then I clicked on, I don't know. I don't think there is another. There's two YouTube channels. There's only one Zoom, right? Yeah.
Mm.
No. Well, how's everyone?
Oh, doing all right. How are you? Oh, I don't think I told you, bud. I got a puppy the other day.
All the noise.
Is he conked out?
Yeah. Had a busy week.
How's the garden going?
Well, it's going. My nephew runs like 1,000 light legal grow up in LA for years for his boss, his whole thing. And I went up there yesterday because God, like I couldn't fit any more in my I have a Jeep Cherokee. He gave me like 5 LEDs. That's all I could fit. Two brand new Atlas 3s for my CO2 controllers, which
Wow.
these ones are better. Oh, all these other nutrients and stuff I use, like
And what, he was just closing down?
no. No, actually, the building next to theirs was like for 50 years was this textile or fabric company. They closed down, so then they expanding into that where I don't know the name of it, but these walls, like the walls you really want to have for a grow room, a crew was installing those the way he designed it. And he has three other grows bigger than that one that are what he calls the trap grows. Like, the dry room must have had like hundreds of pounds. It was like 50 feet rack thing, like hundreds and thousand plant. I don't even know. It was so massive. I've seen this stuff on Instagram, but I've never actually been in a facility like this. And a lot of the stuff he's giving me is because they're always just upgrading. So yeah, like he's like, yeah, if you didn't want it, we were just gonna get rid of it. Like because they switched to I don't even know all the stuff, but he's doing it at that level. Like he says, and he tells a story. When he was going to Riverside College, he lived at my mom's house or kind of at the college during the week. But instead of driving up to Topanga in LA, he would come down to my house in Bonsall on the weekends and stay like the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or something like that. And I'd have him help me in my grow, like do whatever. And so like when like, cause he's like in charge of like this whole thing, all of them, the whole thing. And he's like, I don't know, I guess the master. I don't even know what the title is. But part of his story is, yeah, my uncle, because even all these guys he introduced me to, yeah, this is my uncle. This is who taught me how to grow. Where like like what I taught him, that is like so rudimentary to like he's got all this data and every everything like, and he's trying to explain to me how that's how you got to do it to get these yields. And he's going to come down here in a couple of weeks to really look and see where we can apply some of this. But yeah, it was like from being on YouTube, I'm familiar with some of this concepts and you know uh, and know that that's what he's been doing. But I didn't realize he was like that skilled or like because it's always evolving. So like, oh, what was hot last year? Well, now like, oh, he just installed. This is the first runs with the Faven under canopy, where I was like not so sure about those. Oh, what I saw? Oh yeah, like the unders were like as fat as the tops. But it's all about crop steering. He has heaters, like he blows heat into the rooms at certain times to get the effects he wants. Yeah, it's pretty technical, like where I mean, agriculture's probably been doing some of this stuff for a long time, but now to see it applied to cannabis, where they got every trick in the trade. Oh, and then I got because they work with Backpack Boys and all, like his boss knows all those guys. So all the genetics they run are they all have a story. But I got this one that it's good. He gave me some of the wheat. It's called Pope. It's Skittles crossed into Zope. And then he gave me the real Skittles cut that came from Terpogs, which that plant, he had a whole list of, don't overwater, don't do this, don't top it, don't treat it like another plant. And yeah, it's like don't expect it to grow, but it's going to taste great. And then he gave me, oh, this, he has like two biscottis, but this is the one that's the whatever. I forget all this. He gave me that one. And of course, because they pump out a lot of this. And I was like, isn't this played out yet? He says, nope. My boss wants 20% of the lemon cherry gelato. And I said, all right, I'll check it out. And then this one called Q Lotto, which forget what and then there's some other ones in there too. So yeah, and a bunch of LEDs. So now I can take half of this one room and put LEDs up for it.
Oh, North Star.
How's it going?
Cheers. I'm just smoking some of your Vortex right now.
Hey, North Star.
Warming up a joint of it. Hey, what was the breeding behind the Space Jack?
Sugar Jack?
Sugar
That
Jack.
is the Sugar Jack. That's the XJ13 that I got from Oakland, the Blue Sky, whatever the freaking. That was just cross to the space dude.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Right on. Oh, I was just thinking how similar it was to that. I don't think you called it this. I think Sub called it. I don't think I renamed it. I think Sub called it Sugar Tits. I think you called it Sugar Tips, maybe. Ghost
Well,
OG
Badger bred it and named it
There we
Sugar
go.
Tips.
Ghost OG to Space Dude. Yeah. And I was thinking how similar it was to the Sugar Jack that you said. Yeah.
Okay.
Different though, I guess, so that makes sense because the Ghost OG
Yeah.
definitely is different than I don't remember the last time I smoked XJ13. I remember a dude won at my friend's gardening club. He won like before my tasting club, he won the weed of the night basically with XJ13. Fuck, where is it?
Well, that pheno was kind of the XJ13 leaner. It's pretty out of the ones I had harvested. That was the most XJ13 leaning
Gotcha.
of the bunch.
Unknown legendary. By the way, what's new with you?
Just busy. Just taking a day off. Kind of it's raining.
No,
running
it's
some
not,
errands like
sister.
that.
Can you meet her at the Oshawa Center?
Whoa.
G13 to Jack Herrera. I used to say Jack Herrera. I don't know why, but I guess I'm not Portuguese. That's why. But apparently Jack Herrera as in terror. That was the old joke. Anyway, good looking weed, honestly. I guess similarity. That's why I thought that they were, well, first of all, the name. Honestly, I guess I'm suggestible in that regard. But I also, they tasted and felt similar. So that G13 Jack Hare, it's similar enough, I guess, to the Ghost OG, like a sweet OG. Then you got kind of well, the sweetness from the Jack, maybe. Anyway. I'm just thinking out loud. What's new, North Star? We got a few minutes left. Anything good with the garden or?
My greenhouses are all ready to go, emptied out. Just nothing in them yet. Probably actually going to plant my first greenhouse out with a bunch of bigger mom plants I have filled up, a bunch of variety, and pollinate that run.
Right on.
I have a Martian Mean Green times Super Silver Haze that I got as a tester from DNA Genetics back at the 2006 Cup. Yeah, I'm probably going to use that. See what I get out of that. Nice variety of stuff. And then I have some clones I've been cutting to run in the greenhouse. Some of that Sugar Jack, some of the Vortex, some Dark Desire, Darkwood. But
Oh, yeah,
actually,
Darkwood was nice too, yeah.
I'm probably only going to plant maybe one greenhouse, maybe two of clones, and then that's all I'm doing for the year. I'm not growing that much as far as clone stock this year. I want to get through like 30 fresh seed starts, like new varieties. I want to get out into the greenhouses. I want to see how they do. Just start them right off outside the whole way through. Do the whole run of my greenhouses, fill them up and do a big like a pheno hunt, but at the same time, a pheno hunt that's going to have nice big jars of bud. So I can,
Right.
if I want to actually I'll have it for quite a while.
I wonder if
That happens a lot of
anybody.
times. I'll do a pheno hunt. I have one I really, really like. I'm like, oh, this is great. I only have a quarter ounce of it, and I'm waiting to re-veg. And by the time I get
frustrating.
to grow it again, it's been like I haven't had it for 5 months. I'm like, damn, I wish I had like 3 ounces of this when I grew it the first time. It would have lasted me till I got back to growing it again.
That's
So maybe
something
this
I
is summer
learned. I don't
pull that
know.
off.
That's something I learned. I don't know how long ago. The conventional wisdom, I think, used to be that you can make selections uh, on whatever strain hunts, whatever pheno hunts, just
Yeah.
whatever. You can make selections based on which jar is empty first. And I realized, no, that's not really true because a lot of times I'll find my favorite jar and then I'll hold that jar. Like everything else will be empty except for that jar because I'm reserving that last fucking joint or, that last
Yeah,
three
a
or four
little bit.
joints or
Yeah.
something, right? Like, I don't know, how do I put it? When something is truly special, people treat it differently, right? Some people will consume all of it all at once. I don't know, different evolutionary traits maybe, right? But some people will kind of almost hoard it basically, right? And I guess I tend to essentially hoard those amazing things. So anyway, like you have to kind of keep in mind when you're picking things basically, just because the jar is empty doesn't mean that it was your favorite. It might have been your least favorite. You're like, fuck it, I'll smoke that one first. It's one of those kinds of things. Anyway.
Or you give more of it away.
Yeah, right. 100% too.
As
Yeah.
much as you want, take
Yeah.
it.
Oh, I had one. If you assumed based on empty jars, like how do I put this? If you selected my favorite plant based on empty jars, you would assume that my least favorite plant that I've ever grown was the so-called Ruby Jack #8, because I don't know how many jars of this fucking thing for years. I'm out of it now. No, I think I still have a couple of nugs somewhere, but basically to this day I have a little bit of Ruby Jack #8 that's super old now, because basically I've been holding it on like this last little bit, like an ancient memory or something, right? And it almost doesn't taste like it used to, right? It has a little bit of the grapefruit that it used to, but almost nothing is left, right? But it reminds me of itself. Well, at the time, I remember because people would laugh at it. I would sometimes bring it with me to the meetings and stuff. It was like a show jar where it was all like perfect long buds that people could take out and just look at it and kind of look at the structure. And I just kind of decided I wasn't going to smoke that jar. That was just the jar that I would like hand out for people to look at and stuff. Anyway, I had jars and jars and jars of that fucking Ruby Jack #8. So you'd assume that I hated it, right? Because it was not empty, but no, completely the opposite. I don't know, funny to think
Well,
about.
I'm the opposite of you. Right.
So you go through your
Oh, yeah.
favorite first.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's the fire. And most of my customers, that's why it's fire, because when it's really that good, they can't hold back. They fucking smoke it fast. It goes fast. Like when I grow really good batches, yeah, yeah, they smoke it faster. And I stop jars. I just smoke out of like whatever I weigh pounds, like over. I'm gonna take buzz as I smoke because I used to have all these jars, and then yeah, then the next batch, and then I have jars that just got old, and then so I stopped doing that. Like I take all these heady pieces and put them in these jars, and then yeah, I wouldn't smoke it fast enough. So now I just smoke out of the current bag
Hmm.
and not keep any on the side. But I
Save yourself time and just smoke out of the trim bin.
harvest a lot every month, and so there's always I never, yeah, I never stress on it.
Yeah, I wonder where the different personality traits come from. I don't know, but yeah, that's one thing that I learned that I have to select based on my favorite thing. Go ahead.
And roll something up, I'm going for what I think is whatever's best. So that's gone, then go to second. Or I mix it up, but I predominantly go for the best.
That's the thing too. I like to mix it up. I like to have variety. So even if I have one variety that I like maybe the most, I still would like to smoke it not all day long. I just basically will go for, I don't know, maybe the more heady stuff in the morning or in the afternoon or whatever. And then, for example, I had that, gosh, I have maybe one joint of it. Speaking of something I'm reserving, I have maybe one, maybe two joints left of that banana cream cake jealousy. And it was outdoor. And the plant, I was shocked that it actually survived. When I came back from California, it was all anemic and the leaves were all purple and everything. So I had to go through this whole rescue operation basically with aloe and everything. And it actually managed to finish really well. And sure enough, the weed was super, super gassy, but this really, really clean, just basically almost nothing else. No earthiness, no pine needles, no lemon, nothing. Just basically clean, clean, like fuel gas. Um, and quite stony. Probably the stoniest thing that I've grown for a couple, 3 years, honestly. And so I really enjoy it in the evening, basically, right? Right before bed. And it's not to say that it's not good in the morning. When you first wake up, sometimes a good stony thing is really good as you're waking up, especially if your joints hurt or something. So how do I put it? I don't know. I just kept, I guess that was the point that I was trying to make is that I was reserving that frickin' banana cream cake jealousy, which again, I am endlessly amused by the fact that it neither tastes like the banana cream cake or anything in the jealousy. It just like he just selected for the gas only. But hey, it's good shit, so whatever. Major General says the fire always gone first. Cheers, Major General. Yeah, different strokes for different folks. Have fun.
Yeah, I'd
Cheers,
say
Operation.
I probably go through my favorite stuff a little quicker at first, but then I think as soon as I start realizing that my jar is is shrinking up, then I try to diversify my smoking quickly so I don't run out right away. Because yeah, I don't like to be. I start trying to time it. So when am I growing more of this? Okay, let me think. How long do I use to last?
Mm-hmm.
If I get to I get to 3/4 of an ounce of a jar. Other jars all have 3 ounces in them. I'm like, oh shit, maybe this one here. And obviously, I'm liking this the most, but how quick till am I going to grow some more of this?
Well, and like, don't you
Try to save
like
a little bit.
like when it's trash? Like, doesn't that have a bearing? Like weed
I
doesn't
didn't
get
catch it. Does the freshness have a bearing? Is that what you're asking?
couple that get better, but 90%, 99% of weed is like that in this like zone. It's like from the time it's trimmed and cured, maybe a month, 6 weeks tops. Anything longer than that, it's starting
I
to.
disagree. If you keep it in a nice, cool place in a
Yeah,
glass jar, for example, it keeps for a good while. Not
I
5 fucking
definitely keep
years,
at
but
least
6
a
months.
joint or two of everything till at least 6 months, so I can see how it tastes that far out.
Well, outdoor weed's a lot different than indoor weed, that's for sure. Like outdoor weed does have legs for for for
I'd say the same with indoor. I was
weed
always mostly an indoor grower.
drop off. Um, some like one the Sherb Crasher. Yeah, it's like 2 to 3 weeks. Man, that bag is so Sherb. And then about the fourth week, the Sherb starts to fade. Even in a 60/60 dry, dark room where it's kept. Uh, yeah, certain terps burn off. I had this one weird one
See,
from
that's the
James
thing,
Brown.
and I also kind of select and keep stuff based on the fact that it doesn't have those kind of quickly evaporating monoterps.
Yeah.
Uh, they're really flavorful, but they don't wash well in hash, and they don't keep well. And so, for example, for me, that's not the stuff that I like. Obviously, whoever bred Sherp Crasher likes that kind of terpene profile. They want that bright, fresh shit for probably fresh weed, right?
So the
I don't know.
sugar
I'm just thinking out loud. Maybe I
sponsors.
don't know. I'm not a
And then I
telepath. Go
remember
ahead.
this plant. I grew it like 4 or 5 times, thinking, "Oh, I'll try to dry it differently." It was like a plant from James Ladd, some seeds he gave me. It was like uh, bright, juicy fruit gum. As it finished, you smell it as juicy fruit gum. If you smoked it, maybe a little fresh. It had a little of that. By the time you dried and cured, nope, no juicy fruit. It was still decent weed. And then I kept that plant going where I tried to, but that was like a thing. Whatever that juicy fruit terp thing was, yeah, those were just, what do you call
Makes
it?
you
Whatever.
wonder some of those kind of buds if you were to tell me like maybe some of the oxidation happening to those terpenes.
Mm.
If you were to store them in like a nitrogen purge container, I mean oxygen purge and fill it with
That's where
nitrogen
fresh
or something, maybe it would
frozen
preserve it longer.
fresh frozen comes in there too. Like, yeah, you capture it right then and pretty much get it in rosin a bit. But yeah, that plant, like, yeah, that. And I've had some other strains over the years that, and then there's other strains. If you don't cure it long enough, it doesn't develop all it can. Like it needs a few weeks to really do all the changes. But
For example, for
myself,
the chlorophyll to break down, stuff like that. Go ahead.
like I like fresh wheat. Like I like it like the first week. There's like a certain, yeah, not wet or any of that, just fresh, like super fresh. It gives me a better high, or at least I think it does.
I mean, weed that's still fresh like that still has a little bit of the chlorophyll because it's dried out, especially in California. It'll dry a little faster than it dries in Oregon. Usually up here, people dry for about a week, right? You guys dry for probably 3 or 4 days. What am I trying to say? Oh, this weed actually finally got me. I totally lost my train of thought.
Your environment, man. No, just like even when a lot of times I start grabbing a butt or two, even though I have plenty of weed to smoke before it's even trimmed. Like,
Oh, that it still tastes like chlorophyll. Basically, you're smoking weed, and I know what you mean. I like that first. I mean, I like all weed, honestly,
Yeah,
but I like that when it's
I
first freshly dried, right off the vine. Basically, it's a few days
mean,
off
I
the
can
vine.
go too early.
It has a really great flavor, but you got to fix your fucking sound, dude. Nobody else can talk while you're talking and stuff like that. What am I trying to say? That you're tasting a little bit of that chlorophyll, I think, which is not always a bad thing. Some people are
Like
really
a little too
anti.
early, you'll
Go ahead.
taste that, and I get like a headache if I smoke that like chlorophyll weed. No, it's I don't like that, but like
But it
usually
takes a
like
couple weeks for
days,
the chlorophyll to break down.
morning. Well, I mean, I give it 10 days. You know, it's usually regular. Yeah.
Maybe you're like a
I
blowfish
like to keep
sushi
it.
guy. You just leave a little bit of the chlorophyll on there.
It kind of all started when I first started, where I had no weed, and I'd be like this is like 30 some years ago, and I've always sort of liked that, like not chlorophyll, but just like that fresh, like still. I don't like a joint has to be able to stay lit. Like even if you like put in the ashtray for 30, 40 seconds, it still stays lit like a cherry. And if it's wet like that, it won't do that.
Hmm. But I always think back and I always try to remind people. I mean, it's unfortunate I can't share the experience with you, but I can at least describe it. So, when my tasting meetings used to still go on before COVID, that's how long ago it was in the fucking Stone Ages when dinosaurs still roamed the earth. One night, my friend Stevie, who bred the Ruby Jack, by the way, brought by, he was one of our longtime regulars. He loved well-aged weed. And to say well-aged is really an understatement. He used to age his weed for 2 years, basically, before he would smoke it. That was his preferred weed. Well, he would bring his weed to the meetings, but he often didn't have all that much to share. So he would share it among a couple friends, but he wouldn't necessarily share it for the weed for the evening. So he would never really be eligible for like weed of the night or whatever. Well, this one night he brought a couple of jars of blueberry sativa, and famously, this clone was a clone that he picked up out of a dumpster in Seattle because he used to live in Seattle years and years ago. And he was just walking by a dumpster and he saw a cannabis clone sticking out because somebody probably moved out and threw all their shit away. And he's like, yoink, and took it with him. Turns out it was fucking blueberry sativa. He has no idea who it came from. I don't know, 1 in a trillion shot. Maybe it came from Lemon Hoko or somebody. Probably not. But anyway, he's been growing it ever since. And it was a 2-year-old outdoor harvest because he mostly grew outdoors, actually, by the way. And he had aged it so well in a glass jar and I can't remember. He had a whole protocol basically for doing it that it literally won flavor of the night. We had fresh stuff from a bunch of people that watch the show. Actually, CanFam Dynamics sometimes tunes in. He had some great stuff that night. He might have gotten second place. I don't remember. We had a guy with Skittles there, on and on and on. And that freaking blueberry sativa that was 2 years old, it was loud and just sweet blueberries. It had this incredible, it was still heady. It wasn't soporific. It wasn't sleep inducing. It was heady still. He'd aged it perfectly, really to bring out all the best characteristics. And that's one of those things. I'm like, if you really want to and you know what you're doing, you can apparently age weed probably just about indefinitely. I don't know.
Well, what were some of his techniques, or do you know?
I don't
Anything? Like,
remember. I remember low and slow, that's for sure. I remember he kept it cool, but honestly, he rented, so it's not like he had a stone cellar or some shit, you know what I mean? So whatever he did, it probably had to do with glass jars and just not fucking with it that long, you know?
well,
And
my
growing the
my
weed well.
golden rule is, you as the humidity goes down or dries, don't go back up. Like if somehow it moistens back up after it was whatever, even 1%. Yeah, that's not that no. Like slow and low and slow, but then don't like go back. Like don't go from, oh, it's now 58 and then pops back up to 62 or something.
Mm.
It gets moist again. No.
Uh, how do I put this? One of the reasons why cross-disciplinary information is so helpful is that you save time, basically. You save so much effort and time. So, for example, in cigar humidors or with cigar humidors, you never really want to change the humidity too much. If it does change, then of course you correct it. You basically deal with it and you move on with your life. But if the cigars and the cigar humidor itself get too dry, you kind of fucked it a little bit, basically. You've just evaporated some of the oils from the cigars, and you're never really going to get them back to 100%. You might get them back to 80 or 90 or even 95%, but you're never really going to get the same thing that you were at that 100% level. So it's a learning lesson at that point. You have to basically suck it up, like whatever you had in the cigar humidor, however much money you spent on it, right? Just like with weed, however much money you spent on the cigars, it could be substantial. You kind of fucked them all up, and that's on you now. Next time, you remember not to change the humidity or not to let the humidity change at all. What am I trying to say? With weed, for example, like you say, if it gets too dry and then you put the humidity packs in there, it's never going to be what it used to be. Like if you somehow have to rehumidify weed, it doesn't work well. If you dehumidify weed, I don't know, it also, I guess, no, I guess that works better than rehumidifying it, but I don't know. I guess I'm babbling like a fucking idiot right now, but it's interesting that the same techniques apply. Probably because honestly, when you dry it out, you're probably also drawing out terpenes as well as the moisture. It would be my guess, honestly, because that's essentially what you're drawing out with the tobacco oils. Really, they call them oils. I guess with tobacco, it would be more oils and alkaloids and stuff like that. But you can physically see an oily sheen to a good cigar in many cases, and if it does get too dry, that oily sheen kind of dissipates. Anyway.
I just suggest if you let your cannabis get old or gets funky like that, just set it aside, let it get even older, and throw it in some of your butter. Elevate that CBN level, and it's great for nighttime. So you don't lose nothing. You just redirect it.
Yeah, it's just like you're into.
It's not good for smoking. It's still good for something else. Don't worry about it.
I know here I have 2 girls that trim now, and it's usually like 12 to 15 pounds. And they have kids, whatever. Sometimes takes them 7 days. Get it done. So then, and I like it. Like most of my customers want it like kind of. They don't want me a certain dry weed, but then I have to
Well,
time it all out because like when they start, it's one way. 7 days later, 6 days later, I have to make adjustments. But the one thing I do for them is I used to get here an hour or two earlier, and then I bring the humidity down. Sometimes I set it at 55. It usually doesn't get there, but it gets like 57, 56. But then it's just a little crispy for them. Like the leaves are just a little crispy. And it's the bucking and all, like, 'cause we hold, like, we don't cut off anything. Trim. Because if those are like moist, it's harder to trim or even like at all have any. We're supposed to have 17 to like 23% moisture in, even when it's dry here. That's how they've been like, messing with tests in the lab. Because, they send in some really dry shit, no moisture. Well, in the scale, the moisture is part of the scale. It's, 0.3% this, there's so much percent this, there's so much percent that.
Mhm.
So if there's no moisture when they're like calculating the machines to like 17%, what's supposed to be, that affects the scale of the test, the math.
I wonder if that's how one of the ways that they mess with the THC numbers in tests, because you get these 46, 48% tests, and it kind of defies logic. I mean, when you look at the buds under macro, it's semi-plausible, but at the same time, 46, 48%, that's literally
No,
half the fucking bud
it's
in
not really.
THC. That's a little much.
Yeah. And then there's like,
Right.
that means that if it's 46% that, there's only 100%, right? There's only
Yeah.
100%, right? And there's
Except
all
for that
these
bud
other
is giving it 110%.
right? Yeah. But like wait a sec. So now you have no anything else. You like it has beyond like it. That's where the math goes wrong because there has to be a certain amount of carbon and all the elements that it is, right? So yeah, whatever. I mean, it's obvious that they're freaking. They have no standards to begin with, so they calculate it on their own. There's a standard for like every other element, drug, everything. You can send to a lab and get, or there's 2 companies that supply standards, little teeny amounts so you can calculate, so you can calibrate these machines, like $1 million machine. Yeah, Kansas still doesn't. Maybe they have one now, but a couple of years ago they didn't even have a standard for it. They have a standard for cocaine. They have a standard for LSD. They have a standard for everything. Somehow not.
Now, what the standard was, it was called the money. The lab that gave you the higher test results tended to get more people going to that lab. They wanted to get high test results too, so they made more money off of it. So that was their standard.
No, like
business.
It slowed down a little, but a few years ago, all the big guys, they said they sent it into all the 4 big companies, and then whatever one gave them the best results, that's the one they went.
Yeah.
Okay. So then that's like, okay, obviously a system like that is going to create exactly
more people trying to game the same way because it's
the only way you're going to be successful at one of those labs is to have high numbers, and they all figured out a way, and then the other one went higher. Now we're at a place where it's not even fucking real.
That's the thing. It's an arms race, right? Because the dispensaries end up buying based on those THC numbers because their customers famously only really care about the THC numbers. Something like, I don't know, 80% of freaking flower. I don't know, I'm making that number up. But I've heard it's almost all the customers basically ask for the highest THC weed they can get. They feel like they're getting suckered if you give them something that doesn't have 30, 40%.
It's sealed. It's sealed. So you buy it, you don't get to smell it or any of that until after you buy it. Right? Whether
in California?
Jar, yeah, everything's sealed.
Thankfully in Oregon it's not sealed. Yeah.
So then what other thing can you buy off? The sticker on the package? So that's what sells a lot. But ultimately, the THC number, you can't say, well, how does it make me smell it? No, that's not part of it. And
And let's not forget, most customers of everything are kind of dumb. Just most people are just kind of
Mhm.
dumb. So, for example, like if I was just thinking about how if wines had like terpene labels, people would be fucking lost. They wouldn't know anything.
Well,
So, like the idea that people are going to really truly shop based on terpenes and stuff on the label is kind of farcical,
and
right?
if
So,
you're
like
running,
most people they remember white, red. That's about the extent of
here,
their wine knowledge.
you're running one of those stores in metric, you basically have this catalog of all these products, like all of them. And what really becomes a trick of being successful is sell through. Because oh, you ordered this, and this, and only that's all. You know what I
That's why
mean?
the
Like
wineries have tasting rooms. So people can
knowing
come
what.
in and actually taste these wines and like, holy shit, you know what? I will splurge for $65 for a
Mhm.
bottle of wine. I'm used to buying $30 bottles because I don't know. I don't know the difference. I'm not going to just grab a random bottle, but you
And
taste it. Like, holy shit, that is worth $80, $90 a bottle, whatever. And you
Hmm.
splurge on it because you've tasted it. Exactly. California, you're looking at a package. You have no way to know it. You can't even smell
Yep.
it. So,
and
like, you're going to get a
I'm
free
pretty
tasting
sure
joint to
that
figure it out.
the
Either.
main percentage of people that don't walk in and say what's the highest THC are people that have found a brand that they liked along the way and they stuck with it. Right? Oh, this one company's fair, square, and that is good enough. It's theirs, and then those are people that just are loyal to one thing, whether it's this person or that.
I tell you, I used to work with a shop in San Jose called Elemental, and you'd bring flowers in there. They had a test. They test everything right there on site. No, but at the same time, they take that same flower they ground up for the test, and they'd roll a joint with it. Somebody would go out back
Mm.
and take a few puffs of the joint and come back in, and then give you their impression. It wasn't just the numbers and stuff. They went and tested and everything, and then we're like, all right, that was really fucking fire. All right, I'll take your price. Or it was like, yeah, but it's kind of flat, or it
I
tastes
mean, now
old.
that there's
Mm.
pretty much testing numbers
Why don't
out.
even do that much anymore
Most
either?
of the weed that I thought was the best weeds I've ever smoked are the ones in the teens and lowest 20s,
Yeah.
right? Like, so that was like
Blueberry, a classic example, right? It almost never breaks 20% THC.
no,
Yeah.
same with Blackwater that
Going to
I had it
disappear.
at the cups, and it was like the one that won was like 19%. And that was pretty high. It was like 17. One time I had it up to like 20, just under 23, like 22.9 something. And that was it. That was what it was. I grew it and then had tested year after year and thought, oh, this one will be higher. It didn't work like that. And even the 17 was like as stony as it could get.
I mean, that kind of mentality. People go shopping. It's like you look through the cereal aisle and you buy whatever cereal has the most calories in it, or you buy whatever
It's kind of a
the block
shame.
of
Yeah, it's
cheese has the most
absurd, isn't it?
calories, the
Like,
most fat. You try to eat the
let me go
most of
get
something out of
the
it.
beef with the most fat in it. Yeah.
But in
Yeah,
California, in 6 short years, or I guess it's longer than that now, a little,
the
like
mentality
that's
is
what they
ridiculous.
turned it
Yeah.
into. They turned it into a thing where like people, okay, what's the highest THC? Like, like there's no like,
No, give me the
yeah, you
wine
say
with the
with
highest alcohol in it, right?
Yeah.
Like,
no, but
why
like
would you
with
do that?
wines,
That's
there's
silly.
tastings and there's things with it. Oh, is there cannabis tasting legal? Oh no, that's forbidden, right? And at least you should be able to smell it. Coffee, you can smell it,
Yeah.
like
In Oregon, thankfully, you can smell it. In Washington, I can't remember. It used to be that you could, but I think they may have actually sealed the bags, so it has to all be prepackaged in Washington now. But thankfully, at least until they fuck it up, you're actually able to go to the
I think
dispensary. And I mean, they do sometimes have prepackaged stuff. Especially cheaper places, I think probably. But even now that I think about it, even a place that's kind of known for being fairly inexpensive, well, you guys wouldn't know the place anyway, in Portland. Anyway, they also have the jars. So long story short, they have basically mason jars, usually kind of the same size mason jars we have, or sometimes the bigger ones. And the bud tender will literally go in there with chopsticks and pull out an eighth or whatever you ask for,
well, I tell
a
you this
gram,
much.
The
whatever the shit.
I think it's
the
called
other
Urban Leaf. They're like they have stores. It's right off the freeway, right here, like between Vista and Oceanside. And they have billboards on the same freeway. I never see anybody but the security guard standing out front in like 3 cars that look like they're the employees. I've never seen
like anybody walk in that place, and I drive by it
Front.
all the time, right? Now there's this other place where I get cigarettes and gas called Off the Charts. For the longest time, I thought it said Off the Chair, and I thought it was a bar. And it was like, well, I must have pool in there or something. There was like all these people. And then one day, I think it was Greenfinger said, no, that's Off the Chart. That's like the dispensary. And they're known for like good price and like serving it right. Right. And they're busy as hell. And they're off on the side road where you have to, no one's, it's out in the middle, not in the middle of nowhere, but away from everything. The other place is right on the freeway. And it's empty all the time. It is, it's a fancy big thing. Like, yeah.
No, there's a couple places like that in Portland. I guess I won't single them out necessarily because I don't want to make any enemies right now, but there's a couple places that are obviously multi-million-dollar remodels. Downtown, for example, a couple other ones, and they are always fucking empty. There's 3 or 4 bud tenders inside and a security guard, and the place is empty. It must just be some kind of investor play or something. I don't even know.
Here's the
sure, I
mistake
see
Money laundering or some
San
shit.
Diego made. If you remember that map that had green, where cannabis stores and rec was there, and places that were red, San Diego was red, except way down Chula Vista. And that was like 2 years into it. And then up here, they all of a sudden started doing it. But that was like 4 or 5 years into it, right? Or no, about 4 years. What set in around here is like delivery services, like people that like built whatever, and those people are happy with that. Space. Yeah, I guess you'd call it legacy, whatever. But when there wasn't stores and it was legal, those guys like set in. They have territories. They're good. Like most of them, a couple guys I know do it. They tried to advertise. They did all that at the beginning. Now only a current customer can refer you. And yeah, and they took smaller areas and just work it. Regulars. Yeah, they just. And what do you think the stores are going to compete with that after like that's been in for 5 years, 4 years? No, they made a mistake.
They're just going to try to ban them like they tried in Michigan.
Well, but the stores quickly got the thing that they can do. And then they put signs up saying that. So, okay. Because guess what? Everybody wants to live. Right? They want Uber Eats. They want their groceries delivered. Well, why not the weed? Especially when it's in a package, you can't see it, and you're just buying it off of some number and brand.
Well, it reminds
What
me,
an
actually, I should have saved the thread now that I think about it. Maybe I can still find it. There was an interesting thread that I was reading today about, well, it was just a question. It was in one of the weed
420.
communities, and someone was asking, cheers, folks, happy 420. We made it to the 420. They were asking, somebody asked anyway, what's the future of the cannabis industry? What do you guys think the future of the cannabis industry is? And pretty much everybody in the chat was chiming in, or in the comments was chiming in, saying it's just going to go full corporate. It's going to be essentially McDonald's everywhere, or McDonald's quality everywhere. It looks like basically the market really doesn't care either. So the market is going to basically just eat Big Macs, and they're just going to smoke Big Macs basically for the foreseeable future. So the only people that really are going to create a good weed are probably going to be home growers, or every once in a while you're going to find these little niche producers, and those niche producers will be kind of like microbrewers with beer. They'll have a tiny market share, but they may still exist, and then every once in a while, if they get too big for their britches, or if they get too good, the big producers will buy up the little producers and make them macro. And of course, they'll lose everything that people liked about them. And then the people that ran that little microbrew will start a new microbrew so they can get bought out again, and on and on and on it will go, right? So I wonder if I can find that well, actually, it's probably the end of the show anyway. But it was an interesting, it seems like cynicism is just built in at this point. I don't know.
Well, I mean, they've made like whoever's like controlling the direction of California, especially. That's all I know. They've made like one horrible decision after another, and even see results of it, they don't correct back.
Like the supply and demand is like so cockeyed. They have no control. They'll give you as much license as you're willing to pay for, even though they can see that they're overproducing 2/3 over what's needed. Like that's one. Okay. Oh, what is the solution? Extend the expiration to 2 years on stuff that's in these like packages that are being set on a shelf somewhere.
I don't think I saved it. Dang it.
And the experience.
No, it's happening in the wine market too.
Like, so you're a customer, you're going to go to one of these stores. It looks all fancy and everything, and you think you're going to have an experience. Yeah. What do you want? Like, you know what I mean? Like, well, I don't know. Like, there's nothing that's like, oh, this one's the highest, whatever. This one, whatever the person says. You're like, all right. And you walk out with it. Get home, probably sometimes think, yeah, I don't know. This one isn't that good. Or if you had a chance to, like, I don't know, like you say, you smell it or look at it like in a plastic or some magnifier.
I think the one difference between the way alcohol business has the same where it's either real expensive stuff, like you're saying, micro beers or, mass produced, is that it's a lot easier to grow a decent pot plant at home than it is to make a good batch of beer at home. For most people, that
Yeah.
is.
It's because
Evidently that's not true, but none of us know how to brew beer, so for us it would be fucking impossible. Like, I don't know how to fucking
Well, no,
brew
it's not
beer.
that
It would
hard to
not
brew
work
beer.
out.
I mean, my dad's brewed beer for decades. He had a whole freaking fridge
but
with
I
taps on the
still
side and stuff. I grew up brewing beer, but
And that's what
in
I hear.
general,
Basically, if you know
people
what you're
just don't-
doing, it's
the time.
really easy. That's
Yeah,
it.
but
And-
I know this much. For us to
Experience.
It's like
grow
baking
it,
bread.
like the
Baking bread is a
time,
good example.
Yeah.
it seems pretty simple, but like when somebody doesn't know anything and you start to explain even the basic things, even that first explanation, sometimes you have to walk through it
I
a
think
bit.
more people have experience planting a seed in the garden than watching it grow. They do fermenting something is all. So I
Oh,
think
sure.
somebody next to their tomato plant, throw a pot seed there too, and get a plant.
Believe it or
Hopefully
not,
it
it
comes
probably
out good.
depends on where in the country you live. Because,
Oh,
for
yeah,
example, the
yeah, yeah.
Pacific Northwest, like everybody and their uncle has a kombucha brand, or they make kombucha or whatever the fuck. So everyone makes pickles or ferments some shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but most of urban areas, they don't grow anything. It's all landscaped and that's that.
Yeah, it's
House out
annoying
there.
how many people just have green lawns that
Well, I mean,
annoy
there's
them.
those
They
cats.
mow them, and it frustrates them that they have to mow it and fertilize it and everything else, right? Instead, they could be growing flowers or fucking fruit or strawberries. Well, I guess strawberries are berry, but you know what I mean? Something useful. Or again, just sunflowers or
Well,
some
maybe you
shit,
have the
right? But no, they're
choice.
gonna fucking mow their lawn.
Of either paying somebody else to be your gardener or you doing it. And so they go, oh, well, I'm not into it at all. So, but yeah, during COVID, the seed companies had everyone bought everything and people did all these things for about whatever period of time.
Mhm.
But then I read a thing that as soon as a couple of years, boom, those people stopped doing it as fast as they started doing it. Even people that had chickens, now they wish they had them back because it's like $10 a fucking dozen.
Actually, egg prices have started to drop the last few days. I wonder if
Well, a few days.
apparently the country's been trying to buy chickens or eggs from Denmark and wherever the fuck. I don't even remember.
Well,
Yeah, they've been asking,
but
like,
I'd
even in
say
the
that-
Baltics, they were asking Estonia and Lithuania the other
I
day
mean,
for eggs.
I've never had my own chickens, but okay, you had to call the whole flock or whatever across the whole country. Isn't chickens you incubate them, bing, bam, boom? It's been long enough. Couldn't they?
Well, I mean, it's got to
bred
be a
up?
fertilized egg, but I mean, you can literally buy fertilized eggs, like any
Okay,
farm
they know how to
store,
breed
any
chickens.
Wilco, for
they could have.
example.
I'm saying they could have rebred a herd in this amount of time. Chickens
What
are
do
pretty
you mean
quick.
rebred or herd? To do
Well,
what? To
okay,
be
they
attack
could-
chickens or what?
Supposedly that they had bird flu or
We
whatever.
bred the new
Fuck.
Bolshoi ballet. It's all
And
chickens.
you had to kill all the chickens, right? They had flu. right? That's part of the story.
Oh,
Okay,
I say what you mean. They have to cull them preemptively. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh no, the chickens eggs went up because all these big places had
No,
to
they
cull
basically
them.
have to cull the whole flock. Essentially, people don't
The
realize
whole
how bad
flock,
it is.
okay?
By the
That's
time
flock.
you find out you have like one or two sick chickens in the morning, you end up basically having to kill all of them out of mercy because all of them are going to end up dying anyway.
And I think
And any fucking crows or whatever that land in the area of the chickens, they're going to die too, and they're going to spread it to their fucking
and I
friends.
think the
So you have to
authorities
preemptively kill all of them.
got involved and made like, yeah, we'll kill them all, okay? Right? Or most of them. But even if that happened, wait, how many months? Wait, you don't have new chickens already? Right? That's my thing. Like, okay, that's the business here. Now I know there's millions of chickens.
I mean,
But like,
you're not 100% wrong, but if you killed all the chickens, where are you going to get the eggs? Like the chickens lay the
well,
fucking eggs that make more chickens, right? So, but seriously, like if you
well,
killed all the fucking chickens, where are
trust
all the new
me,
eggs
that
coming from?
industry has a backup. Like
There's
they're
a
not
time
what?
lag between a chicken being born and being
Backup
of
eggs?
laying age to lay eggs. So it's not like 4 weeks you're not laying eggs
And how
already.
long can you store an egg before it actually grows? I don't know that you can store a fertilized
well,
egg that
okay,
long.
there's might be some problems, but like this is a $1 billion industry that has
Well, first you
like,
got to fuck a couple of chickens.
you think these guys don't have their bets hedged? Like a little bit. The
Well, no, I mean,
industry,
these are structural problems. It's not like people are just kind
yeah.
of fucking it up because they're all just like, oops, shit, we lost some eggs. Like this is an
Well, let me
actual,
tell you,
like kind of it's a disaster level issue, honestly.
both
It's a
times it's the same
international
old,
fucking pandemic actually for these
what do you
birds.
call it, a public service announcement. They've kind of played on the news and stuff. They're basically saying this thing, it's in Spanish and English, that if you're caught at the border smuggling like eggs into America, it's basically the same crime as any of the other drugs. Like you're doing the same thing. It might have less
So
of a
eggs are a controlled
consequence.
substance now?
Oh no! Like the first time it happened, they had news stories of like them
What are you in
catching
for? Bro, I smuggled a
like
dozen eggs.
like people like put him in the truck,
Just wanted to
like
make an omelet.
loading up their pickup truck in the camper full of like
This is your brain on drugs commercial with the egg frying in the pan.
flats of eggs. Like it was big.
Nancy Reagan
Before it
comes
came
out of
to
the grave to
life.
arrest you.
Because that was like a few years ago when the first egg thing happened, right? And that's when this thing came out basically saying, yeah, no, you can't bring eggs across the border, period. And there was like from small amounts to medium amounts to the big amounts. There's a lot of money in it for that time. And now they play that again. I don't see the news stories that like.
Can we have a
Like,
new Cheech and Chong movie where they make the smuggled truck out of eggs?
but
Like the
you
whole truck is
realize
made out of scrambled egg parts.
that instead of buying eggs from Denmark or whatever, we could buy
They
eggs
just eat parts of it.
in Mexico, like we
Chicken
buy all
and
these other
Yeah.
things, and put them through the FDA and not have to bring them from Denmark or wherever. Like, why wouldn't we do the business with them? They got chickens.
Who's that? Mexico? We're busy
Yeah.
preparing our attack on Mexico.
I've seen the tractor trailers full of illegal eggs, like 40-footers packed, like trying to bring them in that first time.
No more illegal aliens, just
To
illegal.
like pickup trucks that had them all strapped in and were trying to drive through just with eggs, lots of them.
So the eggs go see.
Now, probably before the
Someone
egg,
should do an AI mashup of Scarface
like
with like
5 or 10
one of
years
the
ago,
egg
10 years
cartoon
ago,
movies.
if you had some eggs, like a whatever amount, they weren't even tripping. Oh, you got some eggs? Oh, okay. But no, sometimes fruits, vegetables, and eggs. Yeah, you can't. This gets in the FDA. I think like our eggs are run through the FDA thing. Right?
Fucking hardcore.
I wonder
Alright,
if it's
guys, I
because
gotta
they're
take
criminal
off.
eggs. I think we're gonna follow you out.
I gotta run.
Star. Have a good one. Good to see you.
I gotta
And
take it easy.
if you talk about
Add me
the
on.
cannabis testing, if the federal thing goes in, for sure the FDA is coming in. Food and Drug Administration. They're going to have some part of like the regulation of national cannabis. They'll get the testing in order. real quick because they
I
do
have to be
that.
honest, I don't think the Trump administration is going to do shit about weed. I don't know. I could be wrong, but
Well, no,
I think that's
I
their
agree with that.
last
It's a
possible
weird
priority.
thing. Like I remember when I thought, yeah, Obama's going to do it. Fucking 8 years. No.
Apparently, Biden was close to doing something about it. Again, most of us kind of disagreed with
Well,
what he was going to do. He was going to basically reschedule it to Schedule 3. Kind
it's
of
in
not
the
the best.
process,
Pardon?
but that's gone through. Meaning that okay, whether it happens or not, the DEA sued the Health and Services, HS, whatever, because they're the ones saying it's going from Schedule 1 to 3. The DEA. I heard one day of the testimony. It was all the same propaganda from way back. Or sued them to keep it from happening. They want to keep it Schedule 1. There's only one logical conclusion to why one agency in the government sued the other over that. They want to keep the funding. Because if you look at their border numbers, they still claim like massive tonnage, like a huge amount, not that
No one
much
claims
less,
massive tonnage.
right? Uh, from back in the brickweed days. Like they still say that they catch and all this is I never see it on TV. I see other stuff or in the news. But yeah, no. I'm in San Diego. I would know if that weed was still around. That weed's not around. Because there's American weed, okay? But the DA gets funding and says this whole thing over massive amounts of weed being smuggled in from South Mexico. I don't think so. I know other things are.
Believe it or not, I think a lot is still smuggled in because don't forget, there's still huge weed markets in Nebraska and all kinds of different
Yeah.
places where weed is not all
But
that legal,
those weed
and it's not all
markets were
coming from
Oregon
California.
and California, right? I mean, the American weed has taken a gigantic bite out of whatever that business was.
Oh, I don't disagree. I think that basically, if you were to smuggle drugs across the border, you're probably going to smuggle the most high value drugs.
Yeah.
So obviously, fucking cocaine and shit basically is the number one. But they still famously always smuggle weed because they find it on the fucking border and everything else. The Mexican cartels still have a handle or hand in
Well, they
the
get
weed
these
business.
guys to go through this desert mountain thing that will just about kill you. With it must be like a couple 100-pound bale strapped to their back, like not a backpack straps, and they're expected to like hike through the. They find them dead sometimes because it's like 115 degrees out there. There's no water. These guys got a big bale of fucking weed on their back. This was years ago. That was the thing. Like, yeah, the border, yeah, you can shut it down all you want. When you shutting down where you drive through, that's how you going to shut the rest of it down.
I think people don't realize how big the border is. They think that you can build this wall that will keep all the Mexicans out or something. Again, 99% or whatever it is, a high percentage of the illegal immigrants in the country, whether they're Mexican or not, came over legally and just overstayed their visas and stuff like that. So building a fucking wall is literally
And
basically
yeah,
fighting a
things
non-existent
Hold
problem,
on.
essentially. But then
where
you
they
cause all
uncovered
these
the
other problems,
tunnel,
migration issues for animals. Go ahead.
they've uncovered tunnels that go from like one like house or something in Mexico
Oh yeah.
all the way to a warehouse
Yeah.
place, like miles away, and then have like railroad tracks or like
Yeah, that shit
cars.
from Breaking Bad and stuff, those were real stories. Yeah.
No,
Or they had the
I
same thing
haven't,
in weeds, stuff like that. They've actually
I haven't
found like
seen, I
tunnels
haven't
full
seen this.
underground.
It's not. There was like a time when there was one after, oh, then this one, and a couple of years. Like, no, I haven't heard any of those in a while. But that's probably just because, oh, they figured out another way. It's even easier.
Well, like we were talking about, or we've talked about before, I guess, on the show. Sometimes speaking of the cartels, we were talking about how the cartels were smuggling the weed over the border. They probably just grow it in the U.S. now. So there's all these, or at least there's been all these stories about cartel grows here in the U.S. Far easier to just grow it here, right?
Well, okay. You see
I-
Colombian weed? Do you see any commercial weed out here in America? Oh, I used to see it like that. That was out there for a long time. I haven't. No, maybe I'm just in my cave and don't see it. But You got stores everywhere. You got THC.
I mean, that's the thing. If you were smuggling something from Colombia illegally, why not? You're, in for a penny, in for a pound. You'd just probably just do cocaine.
If you look at our country's expense on weed trafficking for the last 50, 60 years, right? Well, by legalizing weed, you should be able to recoup that budget because that's it's pretty much not an issue anymore. Even if you got it in here, what's that shit worth now? 50 a pound? Like the other shit's like you get outdoor weed all you want, hundreds of pounds of it for like 200-300, and it's killer. I mean, for that, like just so you're gonna smuggle in bricks of whatever and gas tanks and fuck yeah. That's gone. I used to always know where to get that stuff. Arizona, here, there's fucking loads of it.
I've seen videos. Those border walls, by the way, that you guys are building, or they're
Yeah,
building,
they're
are
already rusting.
garbage.
Yeah, they're already fucking falling apart.
They've caught.
Well, I know. I've seen people already climbing over them, like no problem.
They've caught two
Almost as
different
if humans
times,
can solve problems. Yeah.
different stories where the story was that this person that had a job and had risen to the spot in the border thing, meaning like 10 years or more, was actually related and was like part of the thing from the time he was a kid and was like instructed to get that job because he had a certain time where he just let things roll by. Once or twice, or there's things that go on right there. There's like corruption, big time, right there. Meaning, yeah, you got the border people covered. Now, not all those border people.
What is
are
the border
down
control
like that.
called?
Well, now they're called.
the ATF.
No, they changed. No, it's called. It's the whole country has it. It's Yeah, they made up
Department of Homeland Security? No.
Yeah, Homeland Security. And they repainted everything and changed everything because everything's Homeland Security.
I see. Good for them, I guess.
It's weird.
Yeah.
I mean, look, there's a checkpoint. Well, they've closed them now. And the 5, when you go from San Diego into Orange County, and on the 15, the 2 major freeways, where they just wave you through, but they pull people over every once in a while. And they used to catch things there every once in a while. Most of the time because they had information. I've been, and usually there's traffic behind SUV, van, has Mexican plates, came from Mexico. And you could see like 8 heads in the van. Mexican plate. And they just waved them right through. I'm like, okay, then this like what are you looking for? And then you could tell there was a few senior officers that were there, like permanently, but it was a rotation of like the rookies. That's what made it dangerous, okay? But and that was what you had to do before you could go work at the real border. You had to do a period of time at the checkpoints.
Fake border.
Yeah. And used to create all this traffic that was created by them being open. Or I don't know. Yeah, you drive by it. No, they abandoned. Like it's the structure's still there, but no, there's not even anyone. It's empty. It's like when you see one of those way stations that they abandoned, but that checkpoint was, yeah. I never got stopped there, but I was always like, know that you could, because that's why I say these rookies. So they were like practicing. So yeah, probably the guy trained him said, yeah, on this, because they only go out and do this for so many minutes, half hour. And then the next guy, it's not like they stand there, yeah, pull one over this time. Like, cause that's what you'd see happen over on the side there. And sometimes they'd have all this, like, all their stuff out of the car. They weren't like illegals or Mexicans. No, they were just people. Because when you give them authority, yeah. They used to also have my road was like the only road where I just went down Duluth where you can avoid both of the checkpoints. So since those were closed, it stopped. But years and years ago, you'd come around a corner and there would be the Homeland Security or the Border Patrol, where they can only ask you this one question. Like basically, they ask you if you're citizen, or you say, yeah, American citizen. Okay. And they pretty much wave people by and but, oh, they're there every once in a while. But most of the action would happen at like 5 in the morning in like the trucks that they move flowers around in. So they were just packed in the back.
Well,
Just to get,
ladies and gerbils, we actually managed to have a little bit of a show. Hope you
yeah,
guys enjoyed it after all. No idea what the future of this show is, to be honest. It's very, very difficult to get shows going, it seems like these days, so we'll see. Cheers, Big Terp. Long time no see. But I think we're gonna bounce here because I have some stuff to
yeah.
do.
What time is it?
About
I gotta get out.
quarter or two. Go for it, bud. Good to see you, buddy.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Have a good weekend.
Cheers, buddy. Oh, I just noticed he put in his headphones. That's much appreciated. The amount of noise in his garden is something else, so it's no surprise that he oftentimes has trouble hearing us. So thank you very much, bud, for using headphones. Go for it, D.
Thanks, everybody. Don't forget to tune in this Saturday. Same bat time, same bat channel for the takeover. Have a great rest of the week,
Right
guys.
on. Cheers,
Thank
D.
you
Good to
for
see you,
doing
bud. Yeah, man. I guess that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing else really to say. Like I said, I don't honestly know what the future of this channel is. Very difficult to get shows going, so it just kind of feels like a waste of time. I also can't help but notice every single time I manage to actually bring my website back or something, then something just flops right over on top of it. So I don't know, maybe that's life just telling me messages, or I don't know, maybe I'm overinterpreting it, whatever. But yeah, I brought my website back the other day, but now I don't even feel like telling you about it. So I guess we'll see each other on Saturday for a little bit. And other than that, thanks, folks, for hanging with us. Southern VT, good to see you. Who else in here? Dr. Leave You Alone. Good to see Big Terp. Keep on cracking yourself, buddy. Who else in here? Hardcore as well. Love for the Plant. By the way, Love for the Plant was talking about Biden. He was talking about as it relates to Fed legalization. I celebrate Biden not getting his dumbass way of turning it over to pharmaceutical industry. However, he does not rather celebrate him, quote unquote, almost legalizing. I don't think I said that I celebrate him. I guess I don't think he's putting words in my mouth, but I guess I see your point. I think people were like, well, Biden was so great because he almost, well, marginally better, I guess. But I do think that Trump doesn't give a fuck about weed people. I think you just have to kind of look at the guy to know that he doesn't give a fuck about anybody. He doesn't care about his own kids. You know what I mean? So it's not like he cares about anybody that doesn't really give him something. So anybody in the weed industry that does have something to give him is going to be a rich person. So what that means is corporate weed is going to get a handout if anybody does. So if anything, I hope he just keeps his mind off weed for the next 4 fucking years, and hopefully it's only 4 fucking years, because otherwise we're well and truly fucked in a variety of ways. But I mean, for all I know, the chaos agents that they are, they might just say tomorrow that I don't even know. Weed is legal, but only fucking Walmart can sell it or something. I don't even fucking know. What does Dr. Leave You Alone says? Why am I not allowed to leave? Humidor bro, you're not allowed to leave yet. Remember. Why is that? Pretty sure I am allowed to leave. À bientôt, Christophe. We'll wait for Dr. Leave You Alone. Maybe it was a joke. Here's our operation. Good to see you. So So annoying when you have to wait for an answer. It's like a 30-second delay. So then if the person has to think about, or if they're away from the keyboard or something, then you're gonna have to wait like 5 minutes for a response. Then of course, don't forget there was a whole comedy of errors on the way back. There was a roller skate, bunch of Legos, and all of a sudden, whoop, 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 they're like over end, 3 or 4 times. They managed to find their footing only just to step on a slinky, a lizard on their other foot, and the lizard basically takes them on a slinky joyride to the other room, whereupon they slip on a pizza and land backwards again on a banana. So, I mean, it could be 10 minutes, honestly. Cheers, Jeff. What if Dr. Lee Bielon doesn't even respond? What if he got kidnapped? What if he got kidnapped during that whole process of wingdings and it gets lost in a secret part of the house that turns out to be an entire underground Chinese kitchen? Jones Antugro says, I'm hoping for a successful impeachment early 26 after midterms, but the stars would have to align just right. But hey, yeah, the Republicans look like they're going to let them do everything. This signal scandal, they're really pushing it under the rug as fast as they can, even though it's pretty cut and dry. Like, it's a few different felonies, actually. This would be enough to, in some cases, maybe hang somebody, but they're just going to totally be fine with it. What's her face? Tulsi Gabbard probably perjured herself yesterday, but nobody cares, right? Like, nobody's gonna do shit. If anybody did shit, first of all, who's gonna do shit? He controls the Justice Department. But if anybody did shit, he's just gonna pardon them. So it's what's the opposite of a victimless crime? Like a crimeless victim or some shit? I don't even know. A crimeless crimer? I don't even know, dude. I don't even know. We're in uncharted waters. So Dr. Lee Bielon. Oh, Dr. Lee Bielon says the train was hijacked. It happens. It happens. Especially when you have so many monkeys and ninjas on there, man. Oh my God. It's terrible. Well, amusing, probably. It's also probably a very interesting story there, but difficult when you get derailed like that. Cheers, Marshall. Good to see you. He says he's going to see VT. Hoping to score some eggs. Fucking eggs these days, my God. I promise, though, I actually got some. So what was it the other day? I said I got a dozen eggs for $9. Yeah, it's like fuck, it's like 75, 80 cents per egg. You got to be so careful about an egg now. All the different restaurants have egg surcharges now. Like the Mexican place, 24-hour Mexican place I'd like to go to, they have egg surcharges on their 24-hour breakfast, right? So you get a breakfast burrito, but you got to pay $1 extra for it because it's got fucking eggs in it. I mean, fair, right? It costs them more money. What can you do, right? Because probably in some of the dishes they might put even 2 or 3 eggs, right? Anyway, fuck was I trying to say? So I paid $9 for a dozen of, they call them larges, but it's wishful thinking because it's actually a small egg. The whole egg is about like that, and that doesn't really tell you much of anything. But I don't know. Visualize it on a lighter. Yeah, like the bottom portion of a lighter for sure. Not even including the cap. Whereas an extra large, which is like a substantial fucking egg with a real yolk and everything, would probably be more like this, basically. Yeah, that's about right. I don't think anything bigger like that because I'm just thinking it's still an ovoid. Yeah, substantial difference in volume, probably about double the egg, honestly, in an extra large versus a large. Because I think there's even a grade in between them. There's or no, maybe I'm thinking of extra large. Because I guess the point that I'm trying to make is I paid $9 for that dozen of the larges the other day, and that was all the store had. They literally just had 2 crates, and you're allowed one at that price. Oh, Jeff's coming by to say hello. He doesn't realize we're leaving. So I'll have to tell him in a second. You were allowed 1 dozen eggs at that price, and then the second dozen was, I don't remember exactly the price, but it was comical. It was like $15. I think it was 14 something, like 14.56 or some shit, right? So obviously like a punitive difference. The new dozen that I got was an extra large, and I got it for $6, which is still a little high actually, but it's far more reasonable than the fucking large for $9. Jeff, by the way, we're just kind of heading out,
Hey,
but
yeah, I know
feel
you
free to
are.
say
Yeah,
hey, buddy.
just thought I'd
What's
say
up?
hi. Yeah,
Oh,
been gone
welcome,
in a while,
welcome.
and
Always
what are you
good looking
doing?
glass.
Yeah, I just got back from shopping, bought some eggs. They were like $7.50
Ugh.
a dozen of the cheapest ones.
What size? remember?
Probably large. Yeah.
Oh yeah, teeny tiny. And you basically, if you want to scramble a couple of eggs, oh my God, 2 eggs is too little. Like you're gonna end up wanting 3 or 4, like for an omelet, for example. So,
Yeah.
before you know it, you're done with that fucking expensive dozen. How
Yeah. Oh,
frustrating.
vegetables too are expensive. Dollar
Uh,
50 for a pepper, like a red
yeah,
pepper.
yeah, that's true. Granted, it's a little bit early for pepper season, but even still, that is kind of expensive.
Well, the vegetables are
Yeah, they should
still up
start
there.
coming down. I've seen strawberries pretty reasonably now because it's kind of coming into season a little bit. Yeah, we'll see how all this goes. They're talking about massive shortages for workers, so a lot of vegetables are just going to end up rotting on the vine, basically, which will drive up costs. So yeah, that's going to be lots of fun. If you have space for a garden, grow vegetables, I guess, right?
Yep.
And fruit and everything else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and try to cook yourself too.
Yeah,
I
100%.
went out to a
Which, by the
restaurant. It
way,
was expensive.
very good story for probably really anyone to listen to or to hear. There was a story just today. Healthy eating in midlife linked positively to longevity, which sounds like a non sequitur, like, oh, healthy eating makes you live longer, duh. But no, actually, somebody has to test that over long-term studies and everything else. And apparently, eating lower processed foods, more home prepared meals, basically scratch prepared meals, more vegetables, et cetera, is linked to longer and better aging, basically. So I guess that's the key. Not only longer, but you don't want to live forever decrepit, but rather longer positive decline, I guess you could say, or whatever. I don't know. It's strange verbiage, but you know what I mean?
Yep.
Anyway, so long story short, the more stuff that you eat at home and everything else, I've noticed this myself because I don't know, a couple of years ago, I went through a period where it was a lot easier just to kind of avoid the kitchen and I would try to eat whatever was the fastest, easiest thing. So a lot of times I just ate out. I became intimately familiar with fucking Dave's Hot Chicken and whatever else, right? And
Yeah.
prepared shit from Trader Joe's and whatever, right? And I guess you could say I wasn't eating total garbage because I wasn't eating Domino's every night or something. But I mean, honestly, it was for the most part prepared processed foods. And I notice a significant difference. I just feel a significant difference because these days, if anything, I almost don't eat any processed food. I basically make everything from scratch, which can be really annoying because it's like, oh, fuck. Time for breakfast, 35 minutes later after making everything, right? But still, it's a lot more vitamin rich, et cetera, et cetera. No processed
Yeah.
foods, no fuck. It turns out there's microplastics in all the packaging we eat. So if you don't eat stuff that's packaged, which is not always avoidable, like the cucumbers I buy are oftentimes packaged in fucking plastic, but still, that's avoidable too, I guess, just by different cucumbers. But long story short, if you do buy prepared foods, especially if they are prepared warm, that's the perfect environment to actually soak up microplastics. And we're discovering now there was a story the other day that there's apparently apparently like an egg's full or a tablespoon worth of microplastics in the usual brain or in the average brain now. It's like, wait, what? I have a fucking tablespoon of microplastics in my brain. When did that happen?
Yeah, I've heard that. I don't know what they found yet about how dangerous it is, though, but I know they're finding it
I mean,
everywhere.
it can't be good. Like, it's
Yeah,
one of those things. Like I don't know, how do I put it?
yeah. All those,
Pornography that the judge said, I'll know it when I see it, or I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I'm like, it
yeah.
can't be good, dude. Having
All,
fucking
all,
microplastics throughout your body.
all those little chemicals they put in to like stabilize it or make it harder or softer. Those sound weird.
I
And
just found out it's not like I chew gum all the time, but like it was a stab in the fucking heart because I enjoy chewing gum ever since I was a kid. It was like a fucking childish little thing that I love, right? Well, apparently most chewing gum uses gum base, which is basically a petroleum product. It's essentially plastic. It's literally plastic, basically. It's a room temperature soft plastic. So in other words, every time, because I learned this yesterday, in fact, the amount of things that can be ruined in a day when you read something on the internet. Apparently, chewing gum releases huge amounts of microplastics into your mouth. So that's spectacular. Can we have nothing left? Now, there are actually some chewing gums that don't release microplastics, but you have to specifically look for I can't remember. It's a natural gum base or some shit. I can't remember exactly right now. But
yeah, it reminds
anyway.
me of the cone heads with chewing a condom and blow bubbles with it. Gotta be a lot of microplastics.
Seriously. Microsilicons. What does St. Bernard say? By the way, welcome St. Bernard's. It says strawberries from California currently $2 a pound at my local market. Wowza. Versus the strawberries from Mexico that are available during winter for twice that price. Interesting. Well, they have to be transported over the border. Strawberries travel famously terribly, even across town. Like a ripe strawberry across town, like the farmers markets, they just leave the strawberries after they're done for the day because they will not handle the way back. So they pick them super fucking green. This is not anything that St. Bernard's doesn't know, but I'm just thinking out loud. I'm like, even with that, it's going to take a couple days, 3 days to get to market, and by the time they are there, then they're already not green anymore. So you have to pick them even more green, which makes them even more garbage. Anyway. Yeah, which
Yeah.
makes you get a $5 a pound terrible strawberry in the middle of winter, which I have done before and kind of tried to learn my lessons sometimes. Sometimes the hydroponic tomatoes that they grow in the greenhouses are okay. Sorry, strawberries. Well, same thing with the tomatoes. Sometimes they're okay. Uh, Fuck, every once in a while, I always smell tomatoes, which apparently is a very unusual thing to people. I don't know. I was actually at a farmer's market not far from here, and I was smelling one of the tomatoes one time, and the farmer comes by, and mind you, he's a pretty educated vegetable guy. He's got all these weird melons. He's got Korean fucking melons and stuff, and he'll tell you all about them. And I'm smelling this tomato, and he's like, "That's a new one. I've never seen someone smell a tomato before." I'm like, "Really? Have you never seen someone smell a tomato?" I'm like, "You can tell everything you want to know about a tomato by how it smells." It's same thing with weed, basically. You can tell
Yeah.
basically everything about the weed by how it smells. So if you can crack that jar, you'll know just about everything there is to know about that. Okay, you got to smoke it first, but you'll know how loud it is and everything else. Okay, it's going to be an enjoyable experience, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, whatever. I know, 100% Silent Truth. He's like, "Oh, great. Can't chew fucking gum anymore? What the shit?" I know, man. Thanks, Lloyd. Lloyd Braun was the lawyer, right? Uh, Indubitably, right? Am I thinking of the right guy? Or oh fuck.
Indubitably. Yeah, some characters say that.
Oh my God,
I don't
one of the
know.
best sitcoms in fucking human history, seriously. Which is absolutely infuriating because Jerry Seinfeld himself is not really all that funny. I'll stand up for this. Like his stand-up specials and stuff, not that funny. He is funniest with other people. I guess that's what he does. He kind of brings out other people's fun. For example, all the stand-up bits in Seinfeld, I don't remember if I laughed once, honestly, but the show itself is endlessly fucking hilarious. Cuban ginseng gum. Just make sure that it doesn't have gum base, Silent Truth. That's basically the big one, apparently. There's evidently, I'll have to, I don't know. I hope I saved that story. Maybe I can Google it because it was literally something on Reddit. I feel like a parrot every time I say something. Oh, I found another story on Reddit. Um, what was I going to say? Uh, can't think of the other ones. It wasn't the sorbitol or whatever the fuck. But anyway, xylitol, by the way, is really, really bad for dogs. So that's a bad one. For example, my grandma used to, I can't even think of the brand of gum. I've got it in the house here somewhere. The little green packs. What are they called? Trident. There we go. Trident. So I've got kind of a soft spot for Trident because of my grandma. And then I realized it's got xylitol, which is actually good for your teeth. Well, unfortunately, it's poisonous to fucking dogs. It can cause kidney failure and I don't know, a couple other things. So evidently, even a small piece of gum can be really, really toxic to a dog. So
Oh,
shit,
man.
I'm not gonna. Now that I have a puppy, I'm like, all right, there goes the fucking xylitol gum out the goddamn garbage. I'm not gonna take a chance with that shit. So
It doesn't sound natural or good at all. Xylitol
xylitol,
couldn't come up with a better
it's
than that.
now I don't remember if it was artificially or not synthesized. It was created by I remember Googling it. It was created by a Finnish chemist in the 20th century. It's really good for your teeth.
Yeah.
It actually regrows enamel. But yeah, now I don't remember if it is a synthetic chemical or not. Anyway,
The name is bad. Just not
yeah, right.
advertising it all xylitol. Like with an X, right? It's
That's right.
XY or something. XY.
Although you could argue, well, no, cucumber actually sounds like a nice thing. I was just thinking to myself, like, oh, cucumber sounds kind of evil. No, not necessarily. Hmm. Anyway. Swordfish. Well, that sounds kind of good too. St. Bernard says, my kids bought me some artisan chewing gum, in quotes. It's good, but it's way too pricey to warrant a second purchase. Yeah, that's the thing, honestly. A couple of the brands in the comments, basically, people were bringing up gum that you can get at, we don't have this store. I think I saw them in California, maybe in the South. I don't remember seeing them in the South, but I think I saw them in California. Roots apparently has this. Now I don't remember the name, but there's one of these gums that they have that has the natural gum base, whatever. I've seen the same kind of thing at up here in Oregon. We have New Seasons. What else? Of course, Whole Foods probably has that kind of stuff too, that kind of store. But it'll be like fucking $7 a pack, literally, for what, 10 pieces or 20 pieces of gum or something. So it's like, yeah, once in a while, but not super regularly, right? There's actually a brand uh oh, I for the life of me can't remember the name of the brand, but they have really good packaging. They'll show, for example, my favorite flavor theirs is maple syrup. They have a maple syrup chewing gum, and it's one of these natural gum bases. I'm pretty sure it's natural gum base, and it comes in this like rectangular box, whatever. There's only maybe 20 little fucking round pieces in there, honestly, but they taste spectacular because they use, I don't know, I can't remember. I looked up it's literally like wax and whatever the fuck they're chewing on, like fucking beeswax, I think. And I don't know, some kind of gum base to keep it together. And they flavor it with, maple syrup and whatever. And all those natural things. That's one of the worst things about these natural gums is that the flavor goes away in like 30 seconds. It's this explosion of flavor and then it's gone, right? But still, this one is better than average, but even still, it's not like a 10-minute gum or something like, sometimes some of these commercial gums you can chew them forever.
What a
Well,
crazy
it's the
invention.
microplastics that's so tasty. That's what it is.
Wouldn't have thought of that bubble. Something to chew. Let's put some flavor in this,
It's a
something to
fascinating
chew
thing.
for,
I've thought about it.
you
I
know,
don't know how many
do
times.
they have
I
that
was
in
watching.
China?
Yeah, no, I
Is
was
Chi-
watching. That's a good question. Who did come up with that? I know Wrigley's basically like popularized it to everybody, right? But uh,
and
I
then
was
bubble gum
watching.
probably, blasted sales like higher. Well, oh, look,
Yeah,
we brought bubbles.
that was like what, maybe the 40s and 50s that bubblegum
Gotta
kind of
try
came
it.
out, I want to say. Because before that, it was kind of more like chiclet gum, basically, which is I want to say that chiclet gum from Mexico may actually have that natural gum base, but don't quote me on that. Uh,
Get
but I was
the
watching Heat, and I was like, in almost every scene, Al Pacino is chewing gum, and I was like, what an interesting choice. Like, you wouldn't have one of the characters in a movie like chewing the last half of his sandwich from lunch like through the whole movie, right? But you're basically still like masticating, right? So like what kind of weird thing about this is it that like somehow chewing gum looks cool, but colloquially like we all kind of associate chewing gum as looking cool, right? And a lot of us, especially when was Heat made? It was made like what, in the mid 90s, I want to say. A lot of people associated chewing gum back then. I associate it with my dad trying to get off smoking, right? Trying to give up cigarettes, and they
yeah.
would chew. My dad chewed juicy fruit gum, right? So I remember to this day, I remember, oh, juicy fruit gum, juicy fruit gum. Anytime, because obviously you could, in most places my dad was, he couldn't smoke during work, right? So he would smoke during his breaks or whatever, and he would chew gum in the interim, perhaps.
Yeah, maybe chewing tobacco too, like baseball.
He never chewed tobacco though. Yeah, but 100%. Yeah. A
The
lot of people would
substitute.
yeah, electricians and stuff. A lot of to this day, you'll see them with a little can or whatever, and don't like God help you. I mean, why would you take a drink from their fucking drink? But like, if you were thirsty from the desert or something, don't take a drink of that because it's gonna be chew dip. Jesus H Christ. Um, Garlic cane. Oh, that sounds good, Justin Bean. Garlic cane. Interesting. But isn't that bizarre? Like to this day, basically, you kind of associate, oh, well, I guess I don't know. Chewing gum can be ditzy, I suppose, but a lot of times it's that cool, take no prisoners approach. He chews gum where other people don't. Or so I don't know, like what is it? Dude? He's just chewing a piece of fucking gum. Oh, it's comical to me. Anyway. Martial artist says it, I suspect it stems from an herbal medicine oral health chew that was converted to a candy. Well, let's look it up. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna ask
There was like some
Let's
for your
chat
sore throats.
AI.
I
What's
remember
that?
growing up, maybe it was like Clorets. I think it was something. But if you Aspergum, I think that was it. And it had like aspirin in it or something. It was like you had a sore throat. You would chew this gum and it worked. I think that's what it was for. Some kind of medicine gum.
Oh, goodness gracious. All right, ladies and gentlemen, take this with a grain of salt because I'm reading an AI readout. But so far, the Le Chat from France AI has been solid, hasn't hallucinated massively. But then again, I guess I am looking up the history of gum, so how would I know? So, according to them, chewing gum has a long history that dates back thousands of years. The practice of chewing gum-like substances originates with ancient civilizations who chewed various plant resins, tree saps, and other natural materials. Good call there, Marshall. For their pleasant flavors and potential medicinal benefits. Ancient origins. So, the ancient Greeks chewed mastiche. Or mastich, I don't know. I guess I know mastic, a resin. Anyway, mastich, a resin from the mastic tree. There we go. To freshen their breath and clean their teeth. Mayans chewed chicle. We know chiclets, right?
Oh
A
yeah.
natural gum derived from the sapodilla tree as early as the 2nd century AD. So a couple thousand years, honestly. So yeah, I bet you anything, unless they've changed the formula, maybe they have because it makes it cheaper. But if they still use chicle in chiclets, that's where the name comes from. Now we all
Yeah.
know, right? I don't think I've ever learned that before. Kind of funny that it took me this long to figure out what the name chiclet came from. I just thought it was a cute name or something like, oh, Dios mío, chiclets. So anyway,
You have to chew on a whole box though to get
100%.
a good amount.
Well,
Like
but the nice thing about
one
chiclets
is
is that they've always
ridiculous.
been inexpensive, right? Like they've never been like $5 for a pack of chiclets or something. It was always like maybe 50 cents for
Yeah.
one of those little, they're like a little tray. It's a weird
Yeah.
packaging too because they fall out in your pocket. It's kind of annoying.
If you ride by Mexico, people don't know when you cross the border, there's lots of children there, like with chiclets,
Yeah,
little packages of them,
yeah,
trying to get some money,
yeah. Yeah, and Native
trying to
American, it
sell you
looks like
them.
mostly, well, no, that's not true. The ancient Greek, so it's definitely not a New World thing only, but various Native American tribes chewed spruce sap. I've actually done that, but a long, long time ago. It was actually really tasty, and other plant resins for enjoyment and to satisfy hunger. Uh, Apparently, John B. Curtis developed the first commercially available chewing gum in the United States in the 1840s using spruce tree resin. William Semple in 1869, William Semple planted the first chewing gum made from, wait, patented, sorry, not planted, the first chewing gum made from chicle, which he imported from Mexico. Adams New York Chewing Gum, Thomas Adams, who'd been working with chicle to make rubber products, switched to making chewing gum after realizing its potential. Look at that. He created Adams New York Chewing Gum, which became very popular. And then finally, the Wrigley Company, founded by William Wrigley Jr., played a significant role in popularizing chewing gum. They introduced brands like brands like Juicy Fruit and Wrigley Spearmint, whatever. Ah, it was World War II. I had heard that. Although I guess I'd never connected the dots. I thought it was just rubber. I didn't realize it was chicle. So during World War II, the supply of chicle was disrupted, leading to the development of synthetic gum bases. Today, most chewing gum is made from synthetic materials rather than natural chicle. All right,
Yeah.
good to know. So we didn't necessarily ruin all chewing gum. Look for proper chicle-based chewing gums, ladies and gentlemen, natural resins. Look on the back of the package. Uh, it can be those crazy fucking vegan, cruelty-free, pasture-raised, what else? Organic, uh, made in the nighttime with only fucking virginal fingers or something. Chewing gums for $6 a pack, or it could be chiclets. There's probably some other ones too. I bet you anything India probably has some chewing gums that are, although they probably have cyanide in them too. I'm joking, but anyway. All right, ladies and gentlemen, at least we learned something. Hopefully, the show wasn't a complete waste. What does St. Bernard say here? Homemade chewing gum looks easy enough to make. I've yet to make some myself, but I think I will. Why not? St. Bernard's, please let us know because that actually sounds delightful. It can't
Yeah.
be that hard when you think about
Cannabis
it.
gum.
I wonder if we could find a recipe. Let me look it up really quick. Homemade natural gum. Homemade gum, all natural 4-step recipe from Utopia, or how to make homemade chewing gum, mom prepared. WikiHow, you can make all kinds of let's look up utopia.org first. Who doesn't want to live in utopia? Homemade gum contains no natural flavors, they say. Here, I could actually show this. Mind you, I'm not endorsing this. This is literally just the first on my DuckDuckGo. This is according to Lorna P. from a couple 3 years ago. You don't have to use artificial blah blah blah. Why use homemade gum? People have been chewing gum for centuries. In fact, evidence has been found in Sweden that 10,000 years ago, people used to chew tree sap or gum during the
Huh.
Stone Age. God damn. Similar to the Mayans and Aztecs, used to chew a type of prepared tree resin to reduce hunger and
It's kind
provide
of like a pacifier for
yeah,
adults.
right. In fact, I feel like I may have even heard of that before in maybe Iraq or something that the kids chewed on wax or honey wax or something.
Yeah,
I can't
wax.
remember.
Yeah. There used to be like that
Uh,
sweet
yeah.
candy kind of. It came in these little wax, like some shaped like bottles.
Oh,
Yeah,
this
you
isn't
just
even
chew the
that
wax
hard.
when you're done. All that wax candy stuff and
So this
paper.
is
Always
definitely
kids
going to
chew paper too.
be yeah, this is
Chew
definitely
gum.
going to be an acquired taste right here. This is kind of going to be more like the chickle gum. Half cup of food grade beeswax, 3 cups of corn syrup, 5 drops peppermint flavoring, 5 drops of natural food coloring. Yeah, if you're better off just honestly using like a literally a natural food dye or something that's food safe, because a lot of those food colorings are well, that depends on where you buy it. I guess there are some truly natural food colorings. Cup of natural stevia. You could skip that one. Yeah, it looks easy enough to make. Shit. Let me see if I can find the other ones. Let's look up WikiHow. Gum base, but you have to use classic double bun. Yeah, I don't want to use gum base.
Yeah, I guess as far as
Oh, but you could
microplastics
use
or
gum
rubber,
base, beeswax, or sweet gum sap.
yeah, kids chewing pacifiers. I guess they
Oh,
must
here we
get like
go.
some
I
rubber plast
literally
or
should have
something.
just scrolled down a tiny bit more. Minimalist sweet sap gum or natural beeswax gum. And I'm sure if we Googled for 5 more minutes, we could find even better recipes or, different recipes. Good point. Hey, that would be fun, honestly, to make. Honestly, it doesn't even look that hard. I'm looking at the steps. I was just glancing through. Where is it again? I have like 85,000 fucking windows open now. There it is. Um, you literally don't even you just knead it. You don't even use I guess you do use a boiler for the natural beeswax gum, but you just use a double boiler, melt the wax, add the honey, add the flavorings, pour it in the mold, chew on it. That's fucking it. Goodness gracious, you don't even need a mixer. You don't need anything really.
Yeah.
Pretty much anything that you have in a kitchen already would be enough to make chewing gum. How fun is that? I'm gonna try to make that one of these days. That sounds really fun. What else?
Some kids
Uh,
just swallow it too. Remember, younger, some kids would just
Evidently that's a
swallow their
myth, by the
gum.
way. I remember hearing the same thing when I was a kid. Oh, it won't. It'll get stuck in your stomach for seven
I think
years.
did
Da, da,
though.
da, da, da. Well, apparently, with some exceptions, because kids can just eat an entire ball of fucking chewing gum, and that would be a big problem. It'll just pass through, basically. But
Just
if
gums you
it
up for a
if it
while.
accumulates into like a big old fucking ball at one of the holes between your stomach and your intestine or something, that can be a problem, apparently. But
Drink some
and then like
alcohol,
beeswax, I'm
wash
just
it
thinking
down.
about it. I'm like, you probably could just eat it. It would just fucking melt. Like it's basically inedible. What does St. Bernard say here? I make our own soap, various hard candies. Gum can't be hard. Oh, I already read that comment. Soap is super fun to make. Very not super easy to make because there's some chemistry or there's depending on how you different ways to make it. There are some processes that you can fuck up. You can definitely burn yourself and stuff like that if you're not careful. And literally, you can chemically burn yourself if you're actually making the soap from scratch. Um, but it's pretty easy to make, and the end result is excellent, honestly. What else? Hard candies. I've never made those, but that sounds like a lot of fun. We had that bug lady on. That's famously one of her hobbies is making not only making hard candies, but making them on antique machines. How fun is that? Making essentially antique candies on antique machines, antique style, I guess you could say candies, right? Because who would want to eat an antique candy? The fuck, like a 50-year-old candy or a 100-year-old candy? Oh my God. Well, somebody. Martial artist says you'll fart gum bubbles. That's it. You're at the opera. Snap. Who's chewing gum? I'm not chewing. All right. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, couldn't think of a funnier exit, as they say. So, on that note, Jeff.
Yeah, bubble gum. Yeah,
By the way,
that's a good
always
note.
beautiful glass. Go for it, buddy.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for being on. I'm glad I caught you
Welcome.
and stayed on a little bit longer. Great.
Welcome.
All right, thanks. I'll see you soon.
Cheers.
Again
Have a
on
good one.
YouTube. Bye.
Amen. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, I think I probably already said most of my goodbyes, and then Jeff hopped on. So I guess I'll just reiterate. Thanks for hanging. Be kind, be decent, be gentlemen. Don't be fucking pricks, dicks, or lunatics. And if we meet again, until we meet again, well, I guess we will for D's Takeover for sure. But gosh, I am really second guessing a lot of these shows. So we had a bunch of people watching. So I don't know. It's the frustrating thing. Once the show gets going, we get a good audience, and it's a good environment. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel like a waste of time, I think, for anyone involved. But it's that getting the fucking car going process, right? We got to get a new starter or something, or I don't know. We need to, every time we start the car, we need to start on a hill incline or something so we get started faster or something. I don't know. Probably 90% of you don't know how to drive stick shift, so you have no idea what this metaphor applies to at all. Why would you start a car downhill? I don't understand. Why would you do that? Anyway, adios, folks. Thanks very much for hanging. And until we meet, I'm serious. The rest of you guys are laughing, right? Like, well, you guys fucking know manual. Like, you can't even, right? But yeah, seriously, when's the last time 95% of you guys have seen a fucking manual car?